Well, good evening. Welcome to Grover Hill Zion United Methodist Church. Thursday evening devotions from around the kitchen table. We're glad you're viewing. We hope that this message will be helpful to you. And so we're just glad you're tuning in or viewing. Well, we have Memorial Day behind us now. We have that at our back. Took place this weekend, but this past Monday, but there's another holiday, or not a holiday, but an important day in the life of the church coming up this Sunday. It's the day of Pentecost. It's the coming of the Holy Spirit, or it's also considered to be the birth of the church. And so with these two important days, both behind us and facing us this week, I thought I would just share a story with you, a story of bravery and a story of great faith. Goes back clear back about 80 years from World War II, but bravery is bravery, no matter where you find it at. So Paul writes to us about being strong, being courageous. And he writes to Timothy as Timothy was facing and dealing with some things. But he writes, God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. That's 2 Timothy chapter 1, verse 7. So God has not given us a spirit of fear, but a spirit of power. While we're in between these two important days this week, I thought I'd just share this story with you. It's as I said a moment ago, it's a story that goes back a long way. Perhaps you've heard the story. It's a story about 4 chaplains of World War II and of their great faith and of their great courage and of their great love as well. You can't do what they did without having love. In fact, Jesus said there is no greater love than this, that someone laid down their life for their friends. The story takes place on February the 3rd, 1943, on the U.S. Dorchester. It was carrying, the Dorchester, by the way, was once an ocean liner, and it was converted to a troop ship. It was carrying 902 service men and merchant seamen and civilian workers. And it was sunk in the Atlantic Ocean about 80 miles south of Greenland by 3 torpedoes from a German U-boat or submarine. Through all of the confusion and chaos, according to those present and those survivors, of course, the 4 chaplains brought hope in despair and light in darkness. Those chaplains were Lieutenant George L. Fox, who was a Methodist pastor, Lieutenant Alexander D. Good, who was Jewish, Lieutenant John P. Washington, a Roman Catholic, and Lieutenant Clark V. Poling, Dutch Reformed. Quickly and quietly, it said that the 4 chaplains spread out among the soldiers. There they tried to calm the frightened, tend to the wounded, and guide the disoriented toward safety. Witnesses of that terrible night remember hearing the 4 men offer prayers to the dying and encouragement for those who would live, said Wyatt R. Fox, son of Reverend Fox, who was one of these 4 chaplains. One witness, Private William B. Bednar, found himself floating in oil-smeared water, surrounded by dead bodies and debris. He said, I could hear men crying, pleading, and praying. I could also hear the chaplains preaching courage. And he said those voices, their voices, kept me going. By this time, most of the men were topside and the chaplains opened the storage lockers and began distributing life jackets. It was then that engineer Grady Clark witnessed an astonishing sight. He said when there were no more life jackets in the storage rooms, the chaplains removed theirs and gave them to 4 frightened young men. It was the finest thing I have seen or hope to see this side of heaven, said John Ladd, who was also another survivor who saw the chaplain's selfless act. As the ship went down, survivors in nearby rafts could see the 4 chaplains arms linked and braced up against the slanting deck. Their voices could also be heard offering prayers. Of the 902 men aboard the Dorchester, 672 of them died, leaving only 230 survivors. And when the news reached the American shores, the nation was stunned by the magnitude of the tragedy and the heroic conduct of the 4 chaplains. Valor is a gift, said poet Carl Sandburg. Those having it never know for sure whether they have it until the test comes. That night, Reverend Fox, Rabbi Good, Reverend Poling, and Father Washington passed life's ultimate test. And in doing so, they became an enduring example of extraordinary faith, courage, and selflessness. The Distinguished Service Cross and the Purple Heart were awarded posthumously on December the 19th, 1944 to the next of kin in a ceremony at the Post Chapel at Fort Myer, Virginia. A one-time posthumous service medal or special medal for heroism was authorized by Congress and awarded by President Eisenhower on January 18, 1961. The special medal was intended to have the same weight and importance as the Medal of Honor. We admire the faith and bravery of people like these 4 chaplains, don't we? And I don't know about you, but it makes me pause and wonder if I have that kind of courage. Well, we may never be asked to give up our life jacket to help save another person, but we are asked to reach out and to give a helping hand to someone in need. When I hear stories of such as this, I'm always reminded that we are the hands and the feet, the eyes and the ears, and the mind of the heart of Christ here on this earth, through which he goes about having mercy and showing compassion and love to others. Isn't that something? Isn't that something to think about? Well, you have a great and blessed week and enjoy this beautiful weather.